So a very warm welcome to everyone who has joined. And I would like to say that this conversation is part of Queer Candy Journeys and Destinations Film Festival, which is organised by QTI Coalition of Colour. And QTI are a network for QTI BIPOC in Cambridge, UK. And this festival has been made possible thanks to the collaboration with Queer Asia, Encompass Network, the Centre for the Study of Global Human Movement and LGBTQ+ at CAM at the University of Cambridge, and with sponsorship from National Lottery's 25th anniversary. I myself, though, would really like to thank QTI Coalition of Colour for envisioning and imagining this festival, and then for putting in the work and the effort, but also collaborative ways of working to ensure that this does come to fruition. So thank you very much. And Joseph, I would really like to thank you during what is obviously a precarious time globally. Thank you for making the time to be here with us today. So just to say, so we have 45 minutes, which will include a Q&A from the audience. So please feel free to be dropping any comments or any questions in which you have, and I will make sure that I'm reviewing them. Joseph, as you and I have discussed, I prepared some questions, but obviously we can kind of also have a fluid conversation. But I thought just to commence, for any audience members who are new to you and your work, how would you describe your practice and what it is you do?
Okay, so actually I'm a professional contemporary dancer, choreographer, slash director since only 3 years. My first film was Hua, that is participating in the festival. And the next one I did, it was last year, Lucid Green. I decided to start directing films, choreographing as well, the movement, because I felt like I need to express some complex feelings and emotions that cannot be really said in words, and as I'm a dancer, so it was the most natural thing to do for me. I consider myself as a storyteller because I like in my films to tell a story. There's always like a sequence of ideas that I try to put together to tell something, and especially for me to give shape and a way of moving for that we cannot really express with words. And dance is really the best thing to do, because for me is like the native language of everyone. So wow. This is why I like using dance in my films.
Well, that's quite a quote. The native language of everyone. That's amazing. I might quote you on that, Joseph.
I think Akram Khan said this like before. I think I heard it somewhere or something.
Okay, no, you should coin it. And actually, for people that are tuning in, Joseph does have a film, who are in this festival. So I myself have seen it, and it's extremely powerful. The movement is so expressive. I also myself, I experienced it as a very intense film, but beautifully intense. So I would really recommend that people watch it. And sorry, Joseph, I think your connection might have been lost. Are you still able to hear me? And so just for people that are logged in, Joseph just left. So bear in mind, people are calling from different parts of the world. So we might have different problems with connectivity, but I will just wait for Joseph to rejoin. Okay,
Sorry,
we are.
I think
No, don't worry at all.
I'm like in
Um,
this apartment of the theater because I just arrived to Munich and the connection is really bad. So
sure, absolutely. Don't worry at all. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. And so I was just explaining, yes, that your film hero is just phenomenal, and I would really recommend that people watch it if they haven't already. So my second question is that I understand that you discovered dance at age 16 in Lebanon. Could you talk a bit about this discovery?
yes, so yeah, I lived in Lebanon until the age of 21, and I was always passionate about dancing since I don't remember when, but because like I was in Lebanon, so it was a little bit hard to convince my parents at the beginning to take me to a dance school because it was a little bit not well seen in a Arabic macho society where like guys don't dance. So it took me a long time to be able to at least convince my parents to take me to my first dance classes, which was a hip hop dance class, because like hip hop, you know, is more cool and less something more for boys, let's say. But before actually, I danced a little bit in a traditional way with a group in my village, where we did those kind of uh, shows for weddings. We call it zaffe in Arabic, where we go like dance a little bit folkloric dance, dabke, and other kind of dance, which really um, alimented more my passion for dance and convinced me that this is the only thing I want to do in my life. Like this is really give me so much happiness and joy, and I feel really fulfilled when I'm dancing. So I started my dance classes at age of 16, and after my dad saw me on stage for the first time, he really cried, and he like gave me a green card. He told me like whatever you do now, you can do whatever class you want, and then the responsible of the school came to tell him that she offered me a scholarship. I can take whatever class I want for free. So I was like always there. Every time I finished my homework, I was like going to the dance school, taking classique, ballet classique classes, jazz, modern, contemporary, ballroom, salsa, whatever. Like whatever class I saw, it was there. I just went in the class and I was just so happy to dance. Um, yeah, so but it was still like a little bit, I didn't really feel 100% because at Lebanon there's not a lot of opportunities when you want to do this professionally. So I always felt like I can still do it as a hobby, but I want to really do this for only doing this and not like working somewhere else and after dancing for just entertaining myself. And in Lebanon it was not possible. So this is why like I made all I can to go do auditions. I came to London. I did like in LCDS, London Contemporary Dance School. After I went to Austria, I did in Seed. And after I came to Paris, and it was like the school for me. So I moved from Lebanon at the age of 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think for me, from what you've just said, the moment in which your father felt so much pride, that's very powerful. I think
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
saw, yeah.
Well, he's an artist too, and he's a musician. So I think he related somehow of this feeling of wanting to do something, and your parents don't really accept it because his dad didn't want him to play music at that time.
There you go.
So yeah, thank you, Dad, if you're there.
Okay, so you actually touched on Paris. So yeah, I did actually want to ask you, like when you moved to Paris to continue your dance training, that's quite a distance. Like how was it to move to Europe? And furthermore, did it change for you dancing in a different context?
Well, for me, it was very hard at the beginning because I didn't know anyone. I went there alone. I had some friends of friends from my family that host me for a few weeks. But after like I was alone by myself, so it was very challenging. You feel like a little bit taking out from your roots, from where you lived all your life to a completely new culture, completely new way of living. But I knew I didn't have any chance, so I just made my best to work it there because as a homosexual artist in Lebanon, I knew I didn't have any future there. It was just not possible. I cannot live my homosexuality freely in Lebanon. I cannot do art and dance professionally in Lebanon. So I didn't have any choice, and I didn't let myself. I didn't like question any time. I just said, okay, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to achieve my dreams here, and with time I will get used to it. And that's what happened. Now I feel like home when I'm in Paris. I really feel like this is my city, this is my country almost. Yeah, and I met a lot of nice people. And in school, like when I arrived, what really helped me is that in that school we had a small company, a junior company for the school, and I did the auditions there, and I was accepted in this company. So it helped me make some money and to be able to pay my rent and buy food, and yeah. So this has helped me a lot.
Wow. Well, there's a phrase I like to use, and I think it's true for queer people of color, wherever they feel that they fit in. I believe that we make space in a hostile place. And I think that what you've just described, you made your space, and you've made it work for you. And now you're saying that you feel at home. And yeah, I myself find that very inspiring. And if I'm correct now, you're currently in Germany, or are you
Yes,
back in?
I
Yes.
just arrived today.
Just today. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I went back to Paris, and now I'm back again to Munich because I have shows in Kammerspiele starting on Tuesday, and I had to come before because I have to do a test, a PCR test, and wait in the apartment until the result is out. So
Wow.
yeah.
And do you have contacts in Germany, or are you just there with your dance production?
Yeah, no, I'm a guest dancer in a theater, Manchen Kammerspiele. So yeah, we have there is a choreographer and there is a metteur en scène director, and we created this piece called Touch. Yeah, we created like after the COVID pandemic. So yeah, it speaks about a lot about how we are losing the touch and the intimacy and the importance of human touch. Yeah, and we're gonna like play on Tuesday and Thursday, and we're gonna have like many other shows every month almost.
Oh, I wish I could see that.
Maybe it's gonna tour. Maybe you're gonna come to London, or
Please.
yeah, I hope so.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. So I might just come back to that actually. But if we could just move us slightly on, what I myself was particularly struck with when I was looking at the Gebrael company is the Gebrael company's cultural and artistic internships and the workshops and meetings that you yourself facilitate, Joseph. So your contemporary dance workshops communicate an intention to erase borders geographically, culturally, and socially between both participants and different countries. Can you elaborate on this process and what inspired these projects?
Yeah. Well, for me, somehow I feel a little bit privileged to have been able to go to move from Lebanon and to go to a school where I can dance, where I can be myself, where I can achieve my dreams in my career and work with some companies. And a lot of my friends or people in Lebanon didn't have this chance and didn't have this opportunity. And at the same time, now that I have been living in Europe for almost 8 years, I feel like a part of my identity is becoming a little bit French or European. And but I still have this big part of me that is Lebanese and Middle Eastern. So I try like to link those two together and say, actually, I accept both of them, because at the beginning when I arrived to France, I tried like a little bit to hide this and like to go with the energy there and like to speak very well French and to be accepted. I felt like if I do like this, I will be accepted. But maybe after a few years, I just said, it's not working actually. I need to be myself. I need to accept this part of my identity and accept that there's another part of it is becoming a part of me, which is I am a Lebanese artist. Like, it's more complex than this, but like, I'm a Lebanese gay artist living in France and doing dance. So every time I go to Lebanon, I try to do workshops there to share everything I learned and I experienced in Europe, in France. And I do the same when I come to France, in Paris. I try to give workshops. I give Sufi workshops, whirling, Darwish workshops to share a little bit of my heritage and Dabki classes, contemporary Dabki classes. So I try to link those two places that are really precious for me. And through my films as well, I try always to, actually all my films I created them in Lebanon, because I really feel more inspired when I don't know why, I cannot really explain it, but I feel more inspired when I'm in Lebanon, when I'm like the smells, the noises, the colors, the people, and the energy there just really overwhelm me and makes me want to create something. Yeah, I hope I answered this question.
You answered it wonderfully, and I think what you're talking about, like, this doesn't fit everyone's experience, but often those kind of hybrid and hyphenated experiences we go through, whether it's through migration or just through movement around the world, and we're straddling so many different cultures, often, not always, but often with one culture very firmly rooted inside of ourselves. And I think that comes through very strongly in your art practice.
It's true.
And yeah, so linking to what you do, oh, just a word to the audience about time. I'm going to slightly overrun because we just had our technical issues. However, obviously, please do be dropping any questions or comments that you have for Joseph. So in the way of your workshops, Joseph, I know that you run workshops for Syrian children that are fleeing war and people more broadly who are fleeing war and famine. So I think this is incredible. I think often when people envisage resources and aid, they think very much of food and water and shelter, and actually the things that are innate to our human reality and the things that really feed our spirits are left by the wayside. However, you are addressing that gap. And I wonder, what role do you feel dance and movement can play and is able to deliver in these circumstances?
Okay. Well, it makes me go back almost 4 years ago when the war in Syria was really at its summum, at its peak, and I really felt helpless in France, in my good apartment in Paris. But I couldn't really accept being just not doing anything. I wanted to do something about it. And I felt like the best way I can do it is being myself and try to see how can I share something that is true to me, and of course it can be connected with every human being on the world, which is dance, which is movement. Like I said before, it's a way of expressing feelings and emotions that are really sometimes oppressed and trying to hide it, and unconsciously it helps them liberate all this negative energy and all this anger and maybe sadness and despair that they have. At that point, when I just contacted an association in Paris called Syria Horra, means free Syria. And I told them that I'm a dancer, I'm a teacher, and I would like to do something. If they need any help in any kind of way, I'm there, and it will be nice if they are interested, that I can come and give classes. So they said, of course, like, and I started like a week after. Giving classes to these really, like, they were like between the age of 5 and 12, 15 years old. It was a first experience for me. I didn't do this before, like giving classes for people that might have traumas or flying from war. I didn't know how to, at the beginning, abort it. But I just said to myself, just let them express in a kind of way, and let them feel loved, and create a safe space for them to express whatever they need to express. And yeah, like, I feel like in dance you can be dancing and unconsciously you are expressing a lot of emotions that you are not even aware of. So I felt in love with this, so I went like almost every week, and I was like even waiting for it. Like whenever it was Saturday, I was so happy preparing my class, what to say today, what to make them, how to move together, and a lot of things I learned from them as well, from these children, which is really, like, I was surprised of how somehow they were still more positive than I was, or still more having more hopes than I did. And it was like just a slap on the face, because it's the only thing that I don't know. Yeah, it was so touching, I can say.
I can imagine. And I envisage that they would have reciprocal feelings around this. It's certainly, others might know, but it's certainly not something I've heard of being practiced in such circumstances. And well, I mean, I'm myself am hopeful for all of your future works, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading about more of this that you do. So I would just also ask, on this subject, do you have any advice for people who would like to facilitate workshops with a social justice element?
From my own experience, I can just say, try to treat these people really, like, it's very personal, because for me, I'm not that expert, but I learned with my experience. So from my own experience, I can say just create a safe space, especially to make this space that for people to not feel judged, especially not judged, and no judgment and no expectations. Just create a safe space and let these people express in different ways, and maybe sometimes create exercises that are not, maybe they are not really aware that this is a target for it, but that will help them go beyond any emotion or any trauma. I would say use touch because, but now we can't really. But they're using of the voices. I mean, like vibrating. I use it a lot in my classes, in my Sufi classes as well. The vibration of the body and using voice to express things. Like sometimes I just give an exercise, like which with each movement create a voice, create a sound. And sometimes I tell them, okay, now like maybe make this movement bigger, and then the sound has to be bigger, and then while they are screaming, almost they are getting rid of a lot of oppressed feelings or experiences, or maybe just give them, for example, a neutral movement, any kind of movement, and then sometimes I give them this exercise just in a bowl. I put some papers with different state of emotions or different state of mind, and I tell them, okay, now try to fill this movement with this feeling. Because for me, a movement is neutral. It's whatever you put in it that makes it different. The intention behind it, the feeling behind it. And so, yeah, you can pick, for example, I don't know, joy from this. So you have to express joy through this movement. Sometimes it is like love, sometimes it's sadness, anger. And this way you are helping them express things through an exercise, which won't become personal, and at the same time help them express many different feelings that they need to.
Wow. Well, you're very, very good at
I learn.
elaborating on what you're like, I know.
I'm
Love
still
it.
learning.
Yeah, you're very good at elaborating on what it is movement and dance can really offer. So I'm going to pause myself because I've seen some questions coming through. And so I've seen two, and then I will look at the others. And so somebody has said that like Khua is a really beautiful film, and they've asked you what was your inspiration for it.
It was the year of the war in Syria, and it was affecting a lot of people in this area. And every time I went to Lebanon, I saw even how this was affecting Lebanon as well, with all the Syrian refugees there. And when you see a little bit, it was because I was not in Syria, I was still in Lebanon. But when you see all these people suffering and losing everything they have been building for many years and all their life, and losing people, especially losing part of their family, it was really shocking for me. And I started to question, like, how is it possible that people a human being can do such horrible things, and why do we go to this point that we start to kill each other and always pointing the finger on somebody else, saying it's his fault or it's because of him. I didn't understand, actually. And even like in Lebanon, I was really shocked when I heard a lot of conversation with people around me, friends, even sometimes family, saying, "Oh, these Syrian people are taking jobs away from us," or for example, this guy is Syrian, but he's Muslim or he's Christian, so he's okay to be in our group, or he comes from this political background, so it's okay, we can accept it, but this one no, because he comes from that side. I was just furious. I said, like, what's going on here? I mean, didn't we really understand from all this history that we have to be united, we have to gather together, we have to understand this really basic idea and emotion? And for me, it's a state of mind that you are all united somehow, and we are all part of this world, and nothing's gonna change if we don't really incorporate it in our action, in our everyday life. So I tried to make this film while using all this idea and putting myself inside of these people that I really get angry against them for their these words, and always so I put myself in this kind of person at the beginning of the film that is scared of the other, like directly. When you are born in this world, and directly the society start putting labels on you, like for example, you are Lebanese, but first you are Christian, and you belong to this political side, and you are a guy, so you have to be like this, and everything that is different from that is danger, is considered as danger and potential danger. So this is actually the start of Hua for me. Like, is this person that is directly afraid from this other person and trying to make frontiers and borders to separate, to protect himself from the other, but at the same time he is separating himself as well, and he is isolating himself and putting almost himself in a prison because of this fear of the other, not understanding that the other is you as well, and the other of the other is you. So when you point the fingers towards someone, this person is pointing his finger toward you as well. So at some point this circle has to stop, and we have to all understand that we are all one. For me, I really believe this from many spiritual experience, let's say. Yeah, and this is how Hua was created. And we brainstormed a lot with my brother about this idea and how to put it in a film, in a dance film especially, how to be able to express all these emotions through dance.
Wow. Well, I can tell you, because I was looking at the comments there coming up with me, and I think people are very inspired and also enamored by what you're saying, and I think you're touching on some very important points. And I also think what you said about anger, you know, anger is very motivating. I think it's good when we feel angry and then we respond. Often, you know, our frustration can manifest. So that's great. And I would just like to remind people that I'm just overrunning a bit because of our technical difficulties. So I'm just going to read you some other questions, Joseph, that we've got coming through. Okay, so actually this one relates to Hua, so I'll start with that and then move on to the other ones. Was it difficult for the team and yourself to film and produce this film because of your context? And the person also says, thank you so much.
Can you say that again, please?
And so what did you feel in the process of making Hua? Was it difficult for the team and yourself to film and produce it because of your context?
It was a little bit hard to find actually this place where we were filming the first part, especially because at the beginning I am naked, and we needed a place that is a little bit closed, but a little bit abundant somehow, and has this a little bit dark and weird energy. Actually, we didn't even say that I'm gonna be naked at the first part. We just went there, and I said to my brother, okay, I think we have to do it right now. There's nobody up there, I think, because it was a carpet industry place where they produce carpet. And the owner gave us the authority because my brother knew the son of the responsible of this production, so we went there, but we didn't say anything about it, and he was a little bit shocked, but when he saw the work he was very happy and he didn't say anything. And the second part when we filmed it, it was in my village in north of Lebanon. we didn't really have a lot of difficulties there, but a lot of people were intrigued and were like curious what we were doing and what we were filming. So many of them came, who, what are you doing here? And when we say, okay, I come from Gebrael family, like, you know, my grandpa is just here. So they were, okay, no problem, just continue wherever you're doing. Yeah, like sometimes people can be very supportive, depending on the place, especially, and if you know the people there. But in other films, I didn't really have this response. In one film, we were shooting it. It was very early in the morning. We had even almost the police coming to stop us because we even had the authorization, the official authorization, but it was a little bit an abandoned usine industry, and in Lebanon it's quite sometimes complicated because some person might don't like you, and he has a lot of authority in the hierarchy, so he can just say, okay, you have to go, if not I'm gonna call someone very high in politics and take you out of here by force. So
I understand. Thank you, actually. And the next question actually relates to Lebanon. Thank you for your questions. Somebody has asked, in your opinion, as a queer person, what are the biggest challenges for the queer community in Lebanon?
Things are a little bit changing right now, but not a lot, not enough, I will say. Personally, when I was in Lebanon, it was a little bit hard because you have to hide it all the time almost. And even if in the constitution it is not considered illegal because it's not really clear what it says. It says like every act that is against nature is prohibited. But then a lot of lawyers say that it doesn't apply to homosexual and LGBT community because it is not considered as against nature. But even with this, the most people that have power in Lebanon are not really the authorities, the political authorities. They are more the religious authorities. And as long as they have so much power in Lebanon, they can still decide whether or not it is legal or illegal, even if it's not really written. They can stop you, they can take you to prison, they can do some, but much less right now, I think, because there's a lot of people that are getting aware of this, and a lot of lawyers that are activists and working with LGBT association in Lebanon. We almost had our first LGBT festival last year, but it was more than online because a lot of blah blah blah, and we call a lot of people like came against it and almost protests, and yeah, but it's starting, it's getting there.
It's starting. That's great. Well, that's great. And I think that the key that for me and what you said is in Lebanon. That's great. That yeah, the pride is happening by people, for people. And I think that's great. So finally, I have been asked for you, as an Arab and a queer creative living in a European country, what challenges and possibilities do you face in your creative practice?
Okay, the question was for Europe, actually. Sorry, I answered as okay.
No. This is a different question. This is the last
okay,
question.
okay. Sorry. I don't really have a lot of problem with my creation in Europe. I don't know, maybe sometimes combining the fact that I am coming from a Middle East place and living, because it's somehow contradictory sometimes. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like completely accepted as I am almost. And yeah, and I have a boyfriend with who I live since 6 years now, and um, I don't feel a lot of problem or in my creation in France.
Wow, okay. And if I can just ask you, just in relation to that person's question, so they say, as like somebody who's from Arab, so in France, you not experienced feeling othered at all, in relation to that.
Well, well, it is not really compared to what you can feel in Lebanon, because I still feel like somehow I'm comparing. Um, I should not. Of course, there's always a lot of rights that we can gain wherever we are, and our fight is not over as a community. We still have a lot
Mm.
to obtain, and the minimum, I mean. But um, I feel like for me, it's completely. I feel like I can be myself there. I don't know. Is that
No, that does answer the question wonderfully. And well, Joseph, if it was up to me, I would ask you questions for another like 45, 50 minutes. I certainly had more questions, but we will have to end here. And I would like to thank you so much for your time.
I have to thank
And
you
just
too for everything and for Queer Comedy Festival. It was a great honor
definitely,
to have my film broadcasted and to have this interview with you, Jade. It was very nice, and for everyone to join us, it was very, very. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
definitely. Thank you so much. And I'd just like to remind people that are tuning in that Joseph has tour in the festival, and the complete program of films are still running for the weekend. Today at 5 is what looks like a fantastic panel that I definitely will be tuning into. Tomorrow there is a series of exciting Q&As also happening, and there is a panel that I myself will chair, and with some excellent panelists. So yes, definitely look for that, and which you can find either via QTI's Instagram. You can go to queercandy.org, find them on Facebook or Google if all else fails.
Cool.
So thank you very much.
I'm so excited to watch. Yay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.